Ever since its invention in 1916, when the first clinic opened in Brooklyn, New York, birth control has been a pillar in the women's reproductive movement. Religious opposition and moral objection have been leading causes of conflict with the fundamental right to contraceptive access. Before we unpack exactly what this means for the women of America, let's first establish a definition of oral birth control, the main type of contraception we are referring to.
So what the birth control does is it basically regulates your hormone levels to kind of mirror what would happen in a cycle of ovulation without releasing an egg.
Birth control not only serves as a method to prevent pregnancy, but it is also used for a slew of other medical concerns.
So regulation, protection of the uterus from unhealthy hormonal balance. Birth control pills also can decrease the amount of bleeding that you have with your period.
Birth control pills can prevent cramps of all types, including cramps from fibroids, for example. And by preventing pain, you're increasing women's productivity.
The Catholic Church continues to support anti-birth control ideology, upheld by the Humanae Vitae, an encyclical document reaffirming the teaching of the Catholic Church. It regards marriage, love, responsible parenthood, and the rejection of artificial contraception. Recent court cases regarding contraception have grappled with the line between religious freedom and the separation of church and state within the Affordable Care Act, or ACA.
The Affordable Care Act was originally passed during the Obama administration in 2010. When it was passed, Congress only inserted a requirement that said that women's preventive care must be covered by covered insurance plans with no copayment, meaning that there would be no out-of-pocket costs at the time of service for the persons that are accessing that care. After that had happened, many entities that have religious beliefs against contraception started bringing suits and started challenging the Obama administration's and its ACA requirements.
The government tried to solve this with a so-called accommodation, but the accommodation wasn't accommodating at all. And so these religious ministries were unfortunately forced to go to court very reluctantly to sue the government to say, look, you've imposed a substantial burden on our religious exercise, which is against a federal civil rights law called the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
Hobby Lobby v. Burwell was a monumental Supreme Court case that took place in 2014 and used this same reasoning to take issue with the ACA's contraceptive mandates.
In the Hobby Lobby case, the Supreme Court held that corporations had religious liberty rights, and a chain of craft stores, Hobby Lobby, was entitled to an exemption.
Fast forward 4 years and we see the Trump administration following the same standard. They propose drawbacks to the ACA, which, as mentioned previously, requires employers to provide company-sanctioned health care that covers contraception.
And under Obamacare, they weren't allowed to do that, but Trump has tried to institute a religious exemption so that employers can not cover contraception if they wish.
This enables employers from for-profit companies to be able to opt out of providing birth control if they have religious or moral objections. Prior to this legislative action, only religious nonprofits and churches could refuse to provide contraception on the basis of religion.
All manner of people need contraception access. It's a form of basic preventive health care that women need to be able to obtain. So it should be treated like all these other forms of health care. It's definitely a compelling interest, and the Trump administration is simply wrong to claim otherwise.
It is certain that Trump's policies have and will have widespread implications. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Trump's new policy disregards this vital clause to American democracy by intermingling politics with religious relations.
And so the idea that you can unilaterally reject somebody's ability to have access to a medication that is prescribed by their physician based on your own religious beliefs around one aspect of what that medication does is not just narrow-minded, it's actually incorrectly applied.
Everyone has the right to step away from something they find morally offensive, but nobody has the right to step in the way to access to safe, legal, and appropriate medical care.
Trump's policies also leave women without necessary care, and at the same time, they disproportionately affect women of certain demographic groups.
We see a large percentage of our patients who are living in poverty, below the federal poverty line, don't have insurance, or have Medicaid. Often they don't have a primary care provider. We're often their sole source of health care.
We know that the women that are most affected by lack of access are low income, low socioeconomic, women in inner cities, urban areas, or women of low economic status out in rural areas that just don't have easy physical access either.
On multiple levels, women who are poor or near poor are punished, and it makes them harder to prevent pregnancy.
This issue is of utmost importance to the American people and must be urgently addressed in the upcoming 2020 presidential election. In a world where there is no more Plan B, what's your Plan C?